What's going on, YouTube? Today I got the second and third rounds for my mock draft. First episode for the first round was yesterday, if you want to go check that out. But I'm assuming you watched that if you're here. So yeah, let's hop straight in. Starting off with the first pick with the Jaguars. In the first round, they took Trevor Lawrence, obviously, and then with their second pick in the first round, Christian Barmore. And so here, I think it's important, and I understand safety is a popular pick here for the Jaguars. I think Moehrig or now as I'm being told it's Moehrig, on the Jaguars would be a great fit, but somehow Elijah Vera-Tucker fell here to the second round, and he is an amazing tackle/guard, and he's going to do a great job at protecting Trevor Lawrence wherever he does go on that offensive line. Because like I said, he can play guard, he can play tackle, he can really fit any position on the offensive line. I do think he fits better as a guard. However, again, can be great to tackle, and yeah, they get a good guy here to protect T-Law. Then the Jets at 34. In the first round, they took Zach Wilson. That's a big mix-up. And then JOK. So here with the second pick, there's some interesting, positions to go here. If you want to help build around Zach Wilson now that you have him, Travis Etienne is a fantastic running back. He'd obviously be your guy over Frank Gore in the future, and I really like what he brings to the table. If you want to go wide receiver, Terrace Marshall's really good. On the defense, if you want to get a nice edge rusher, Jason Owe is a good pick here. Carlos Basham, even Ronnie Perkins, Rashad Weaver. Cornerback's also a pretty big need for the Jets as well, though. And there are some really solid corners on the board here. However, I'm not going to pass up Travis Etienne for them. I think I don't know if, I saw Najee Harris, or I gave Najee Harris to the Buccaneers with a 32nd pick, obviously. But, I do agree with a lot of other people in terms of there's much more valuable picks to go with than running back in the first round. But I think as soon as the second round hits, it's fine to take him, because Travis Etienne is a great dual threat running back. He runs with great power for his game, even though he's not the biggest guy, but also brings a big element of catching and, speed to his game as well, to where I definitely understand why people have him as their number one running back. I personally don't. Still a very solid running back, and he's your guy of the future there, obviously. Then we have the Falcons here, who in the first round took Justin Fields. And so here, I think they've got to address the defense in some way here now. They've already taken one guy that came from Georgia. Why not take another guy in a great corner here in Tyson Campbell, which, yes, I've also risen above Eric Stokes because, with Eric Stokes, he is very, very boomer bust. He's another one of those guys that, again, if you hit that potential, he's going to be really, really good, but he can also fail pretty easy. Tyson Campbell is much more of a safer pick. He also had some grabbing issues along with Eric Stokes, but I don't think they were as bad as Stokes were, as well as I think Tyson Campbell is a much more safer pick. Is he going to be that elite corner? No, which Eric Stokes does have the potential to be that elite guy, but it's a safe pick. They need to help out that corner room a bit, and Tyson Campbell is a pretty solid corner to do so. Then we have the Dolphins here at 36, and the Dolphins in the first round took Penei Sewell as well as Zaven Collins. So here, for the Dolphins, I think running back would have been really nice here, but since Etienne and Harris are gone, I'm not really keen on giving any of these other running backs this high. Next in line would be, one of the North Carolina guys. For a while I had Michael Carter over Javonte Williams, and that's because, I think, people seem to see, Najee Harris and Javonte Williams, and they are pretty similar in the way they play. I don't think Javonte Williams is even comparable to Najee Harris in terms of how good they are in their power game, which is, I've risen him above Michael Carter at this point, but I do think this is way too high for him. If you want to go with that receiver now, I really like Terrace Marshall. I think he'd be a great fit on this Dolphins team. On the defense, if you want to get an edge player, again, there's one of these guys here that you can definitely take, but the pick is going to be Terrace Marshall. A guy that once Jamar Chase opted out, he stepped into that number one role really well there in Alabama, or not Alabama, LSU. I'm getting stuff mixed up today. At LSU, though, he stepped up really nicely when Jamar Chase opted out, though, and he proved he can be that number one type guy, which is really what I think the Dolphins need more than anything else. They say that they have Devontae Parker, but he's just not that good. He had a better than average year in 2019, but he wasn't that good in 2020. And I like Terrace Marshall as their number one of the future there. Then the Eagles at 37, they took Kyle Pitts in the first round. And here, I think they need to get some help, along the defensive side of things, especially with like their linebacker, corner, and safety room. Their corner room, they could definitely use someone back there with Darius Slay. They do not have a good linebacker room at all. So this is definitely a spot they could take one of these guys, as well as safety. Their safety room is also not good. But out of all the guys available, the ones I'm really leaning to is either Greg Newsome or Dylan Moses. And I think I'm going to go with Dylan Moses here. Their corner room, at least they have Darius Slay. Linebacker, they have nothing, like nothing at all. And that really hurts them a lot. Dylan Moses is a guy that would normally be a first-round pick. You might have 5 first-round linebackers, if not for his injury that he sustained a couple years ago. And, of course, after an ACL tear like that, you don't expect him to just bounce back and be like Kyrie Irving level good after an injury like that. Of course, they're two different sports, but regardless, the point is that, it's really hard to bounce back from that injury and look unchanged. And he didn't. He came back and did look changed from the injury, not to the point where I think he's not going to be good in the NFL. But he's still a very solid linebacker, though. Showed some regression, yeah, obviously, yes, to the injury, but I don't think it's going to hold him back. And I think, it's not like his injuries are going to be a thing in the NFL. At least there's nothing showing that. So I think he's a pick worth taking. Helps at that linebacker room. He's a really solid dude. Bengals here at 38. They missed out on Penei Sewell in the first round, so they took Jamar Chase, which is a great pick. Now you definitely have to get some offensive line help here. And, they have a nice center, so I'm definitely not looking at a center here. I'm definitely looking at either Wyatt Davis or one of these tackles. And I do think getting someone on that right tackle position across from Jonah Williams would be very, very beneficial to them. And out of all these guys, the one that I like the most isn't Alex Leatherwood. It's actually Dylan Redunz, a guy that very easily can go on day one. This guy is a phenomenal run blocker. I wasn't very high on him for a while, but then he showed out at the Senior Bowl and showed he's not just a run blocker. He's also great in the pass game as well. I think he's a fantastic guy to put across on that right side. And although he's no Penei Sewell by any means, he is still a very solid tackle to get here for the Bengals. Then we have the Panthers at 39. And the Panthers here are another team that could go with linebacker. In the first round, they went with Trey Lance, so they got their quarterback of the future there. They did just cut Kawan short, so if they maybe want to get a guy like Onwuzurike back there, it makes sense. Their corner room also needs a lot of help as well, though. And so although I do like guys like, Baron Browning, Jabril Cox, Chaz Surratt, I think Greg Newsome would be an amazing fit for the Panthers defense. And it's also in a way kind of getting that guy before the Broncos can get him, because I'm pretty sure the Broncos would probably take him if given the chance. But yeah, Greg Newsome was a guy that did not get a lot of recognition before this year. And then once people finally started to realize how good Northwestern's defense was, he was one of those guys that really got the most recognition on that defense. So he's a very solid corner, and he makes that corner room a lot better for the Panthers. Then here at 40, we have the Broncos. And the Broncos here took Micah Parsons in the first round. So definitely no quarterback you want to take here. In the second round, for the Broncos, very possible that they could go with potentially one of these tackles. There's actually some stuff going on right now. Who knows? By the time this video comes out, he might already be traded or cut or whatever. But potentially the Broncos may be cutting Juwan James, which in that case, their only right tackle would be Elijah Wilkinson, and that's assuming they bring him back because he's a free agent. DeMar Dotson's probably going to retire, so their tackle room actually is looking pretty poor on that right side right now, and they don't even really have a backup to Garrett Bowles. If you do look on the defensive side of things, though, I think Levi Onwuzurike would be great with the Broncos. Carlos Basham here in the second would be great value, but they kind of got their Von Miller replacement in a way in Micah Parsons. Corner obviously is still a place you look here. Eric Stokes, I think, maybe, but he's not a man corner, and that's what the Broncos like to run. And Merrick makes sense, but I do think, just with the fact that their tackle room is looking really, really bad right now, I think getting a guy, like, even if he just ends up being depth or whatever, but this guy could very well start for them. Liam Eichenberg, I think, makes a lot of sense right now. I know there are bigger needs that may seem to the Broncos, but especially if they are getting rid of Juwan James. Again, if they somehow bring Elijah Wilkinson, well, not somehow, but if they do bring Elijah Wilkinson back, he's their only right tackle. So, even if it's just depth, you get someone great over there. And Eichenberg, though, he's a really solid tackle. He's been really, really good for Notre Dame, has really good hot streaks, and then has these kind of, small cold streaks. But with some development, could be a great tackle in the NFL. Then the Lions at 41. And the Lions here, who went Jalen Waddle in the first round, we're probably going to want to get some offensive line help or, like a linebacker maybe. And I think, not Pete Werner, Baron Browning would be a great fit on this Lions defense. I'd really like that. Another guy that I would really love on the Lions defense is Cameron McGrone. However, this is way too high for him for sure. But if you do want to get some offensive line help, though, they've got two. Taylor Decker's a solid tackle. Their right tackle, the dude that I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, he's not as good, but he's not bad. Their struggles really go from the interior side of their offensive line. So if you want to go Wyatt Davis here, it makes sense. But I do really love the idea of Baron Browning on the Lions defense. They are another team that could really use a linebacker to help make that defense just better as a whole. Definitely also needs some edge presence as well, but I do like Browning better than any of these guys on the board at this point. Then the Giants of 42, who went with Devontae Smith in the first round. They have their, pick of the patch with their edge rushers here. You have Jason Oweh, who's a fantastic and athletic dude. Again, you can get a more in-depth analysis on him if you go check out my edge rankings. I don't really think I like Carlos Basham or Ronnie Perkins because they come off more to me as 3-4 outside linebackers, and they don't really run those type of guys. And the only other guy I'd really even consider here is Rashad Weaver. However, I just think Jason Oweh fits their team a lot better and just is a bigger fit, better fit than, the other guys. So I think Oweh is a great pick here. A bit raw, but with some development can be amazing across from Leonard Williams if they do keep him. So yeah, they get some a good pass rusher there. Then we have the 49ers at 43 here, and in the first round, they took Patrick Surtain. And so here, I mean, maybe you look at like that quarterback spot for a second or something, but when a guy like Wyatt Davis falls to you and you need offensive line help, you got to take Wyatt Davis. Like, I'm not as high on, I was never as high on him as many other people were, but I'm not as, hateful on him as some people are. He just wasn't that solid first round guard that a lot of people were making him out to be. However, he is still a very solid guard, and I think he'd fit fantastic with this 49ers offense. They have a big needed inside and potentially even a tackle if Williams leaves. But you might think that Alex Leatherwood is a better fit here. He's going to be a guard. I still prefer Wyatt Davis much more over Leatherwood, so makes sense, and I really like the pick here. Then we have the Cowboys at 44, and they got their hands on Caleb Farley in the first round. And so here for the Cowboys, if you want to get a safety, Merrig, he's fallen to you at this point. Might as well, you could definitely take him. There's a great tight end on the board, Pat Freiermuth, who I think would be great on the Cowboys. That'd be an amazing pairing. If you want to get some offensive line help here, help out with those injuries and maybe even fill out the offensive line at that left guard position. I mean, Trey Smith, Deontay Brown, Ben Cleveland even here. But the pick here is going to be Trevon Merrig. I know a lot of Cowboys fans constantly want to get a safety, and even in the first round want a safety. There is no safety that should go at pick 10. But here at 44, and after he's kind of fallen a little bit, Merrig is easily the best safety in this class as of right now. Really solid, and yeah, it's a good fit here on the Cowboys, and they get a really big position of need. Then we have the Jaguars again, and so forth. They've taken Trevor Lawrence, Christian Barmore, and then just earlier Elijah Vera Tucker. So here for the Jaguars, maybe they want to get someone along that defensive line again because they got Christian Barmore, but that's still a pretty bad defensive line. If they want to get some cornerback or safety help, there's a really good cornerback on the board in Eric Stokes here. Kelvin Joseph, a guy that's kind of started to rise on the board for some. If you want to look safety, Richie Grant makes a lot of sense here. I think he'd be great with the Jaguars. Um, so yeah, just based off of all that, I do think that the pick here is going to be Richie Grant. I think he fits a lot better with the Jaguars than Eric Stokes does because again, I just don't think he's going to hit that potential with the Jaguars. And I do like Richie Grant a lot. He's another guy that really showed out at the Senior Bowl, so he rose on a lot of people's boards, but he's been really solid. I think he fits with the Jaguars nicely. So then we have the Patriots at 46, and in the first round, they took Mac Jones. And so here, you're definitely going to want to get some receiving help. And it's really between Rondale Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Pat Freiermuth for me. I know receiver is obviously a need, but when you look at their tight end room, it's just not good. Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene, I don't think are going to be anything. Someone who I do think is going to be something is Pat Freiermuth, who is a really, really solid tight end. From Penn State, he could really even sneak up into the first round. So getting him here in like almost the mid-second is great value for the Patriots. And, you know, this guy, he's a great blocker, but amazing catching as well. And he's very athletic too. So he's a great tight end and gets a true weapon for Mac Jones there. Then at 47, we have the Chargers, who in the first round took Christian Darrisaw. Here, I just think they got to address the offensive line again, you know, and some more. They've got their left tackle, they've got their right tackle. Now you just got to address the inside. And a guy that I've mocked here before and I really like to the Chargers is Ben Cleveland, who is just an absolute beast of a human. I mean, when you think, like, if you imagine someone who's just muscular and just all, you know, just bodybuilder looking, Ben Cleveland is the guy because this dude just looks incredible. I don't think he has any body fat on him, honestly. And besides from the way, you know, how muscular and how strong he is, like, he was also very, very solid for Georgia. He was great in the run game, but also very solid in the pass game. So I think he's a great guy to fit in at either guard position there for the Chargers and help out that O-line. Then here with the Raiders at 48. Raiders in the first round took, was it Kwity Paye? No, Jalen Phillips. So they got a really solid edge rusher there in the first round. Here, you know, very solid. They want to go with the guard as well. I think Alex Leatherwood fits pretty nicely with them, actually. You know, as a guard, obviously, since Richie Incognito is seeming like he might, you know, retire soon or be cut or something. I just know that he's, you know, often mocked as not being on the team for very much longer. As well as Gabe Jackson isn't the best guard in the NFL. So, you know, if you want to go Alex Leatherwood, definitely makes sense here. As well as, like, if you're looking at that corner safety, there are some really solid guys, but I do like the fit of Alex Leatherwood on the Raiders a lot. I know a lot of people would say this is him falling pretty far. He does fall a little bit here, but I think this is about the pick he should go. He just looked really, really sluggish in the Senior Bowl, and maybe that's due to the fact that he played an entire season of football, obviously. But, you know, I still think it's a good fit regardless, and, you know, fills out a position of need because even if Incognito stays there, he can replace Gabe Jackson, and if they really need him to, let's say Trent Brown isn't there because he's dealt with injuries, they can stick him in there at right tackle. Then the Cardinals at 49, who took J.C. Horn in the first round. Here for the Cardinals, you know, maybe they want to get a receiver. Rondale Moore or Amon-Ra St. Brown would be great picks here. Especially since, like, Larry Fitzgerald's really starting to regress a bit, you know, and after DeAndre Hopkins, they don't really have anyone. If they want to pick up a tight end, Brevin Jordan is a great tight end. If they want to address the offensive line, you know, there are some great guys to do so here. On the defense, there are some really good edge rushers as well. So yeah, just being that all considered, I don't really see them re-signing Hassan Reddick, and their defensive line as it is isn't really that good. So a guy that I think is a fantastic fit here for the Cardinals is Quincy Roche. And he's a guy that I've mocked here before, but I just think it's such a good fit. If you can imagine Quincy Roche with Chandler Jones, that's really, really scary. They would be a very good duo. And Quincy Roche, another guy that, you know, if you check out my in-depth analysis, like, he is just a really solid guy with a mixture of power and you know, speed to his game. That he's a really solid guy. So getting him here in the second is great value here for the Cardinals. Then at 50, we have the Dolphins, who so far have taken Terrace Marshall, Penei Sewell, and Zaven Collins. So here for the Dolphins, you know, you're probably looking maybe to get a running back. You know, this is the spot maybe you want to take one of these guys. maybe you want to get an edge rusher, and there are some great edge rushers on the board. So yeah, or maybe even safety, but yeah, it's definitely for me going to be Javonte Williams or probably Carlos Basham. I think is the best fit here for the Dolphins. And between the two, I think Javonte Williams is a guy that can fall a bit further. You may even be able to pick him up at some point in the third round. So in that case, a guy that I do really like, and should probably go higher than this, and probably won't, but should, is Carlos Basham. He's a guy that I do not think gets nearly enough recognition that he deserves, mainly because he plays for Wake Forest, but he is a really, really good and solid edge rusher who, again, just deserves more hype, and he can play across from Kyle Van Noy over there if you want, and he can even really play defensive end, so he fits really nicely there with the Dolphins. Then at 51, we have the Washington football team, who in the first round took Kadarius Toney after getting their wide receiver. Here, I think if they want to go corner, definitely makes sense. I think a pick like Eric Stokes or Afidi Melifonwu makes sense here. But, it's really tempting to maybe take Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond here. You're not sure how much longer they're going to last. Will they be there at 74? And even though they do like Taylor Heineke, they don't really have a plan past him. But I do think these guys will probably end up being there. And so being with that, getting a corner, and, it's weird because Eric Stokes never falls for me this far, but, Afidi, I'm not a big fan of Melifonwu. I think people overreact a bunch as to how good he actually is. He's not horrible, but I don't think he's like first round value like a lot of people have him. But on the Washington football team, like across from like say Ronald Darby and who's the Kendall Fuller, I think that Washington is a great fit. I think that defense is perfect for him. So I really like Afitu here with Washington. Then at 52, we have the Bears, who took Rashawn Slater in the first round. And so here, maybe this is the team that wants to take one of those quarterbacks here because they've got Mitch Trubisky, obviously. Nick Foles isn't their future. So, they definitely should address wide receiver as well, though. And really, realistically, can even go offensive line again. However, this is another case where I think you can probably get one of these two guys in the third round or a different guy later on if you want. And especially when there's two receivers on here on the board, and really even some more guys, because Tylan Wallace and Dwayne Eskridge are some other guys that can go this high. Elijah Moore as well. They have some of these guys really rated low. But the best receiver at this point for me is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown, a guy who, he's really speedy, but he uses that speed to his advantage. He's super shifty as well. He's one of those guys that's just going to easily trick you into going one direction when he's already going the other. And so I really like him on that Bears squad. I think he can step up into that number one spot someday if Allen Robinson does go. But even then, as a number two to Allen Robinson, I think he'd be great. So then the Titans here at 53, they took Azeez Ojulari in the first round. And so here, maybe you want to get a tackle here because Isaiah Wilson, in his own words, is apparently done with football as a tight end. And I'm not a big fan of Dennis Kelly. So if you want to get a tackle here, I really like Spencer Brown. I think he'd be great at that right tackle position. Really big and solid dude, but not as slow as like a guy like Leatherwood or Tevin Jenkins. Excuse my voice. If you want to go somewhere else here, Levi Onwuzurike, I think would be a great fit with the Titans. They kind of have a need at corner, and I think Eric Stokes would be a great fit with them. So given all that considered, I don't want to pass up on a guy like Spencer Brown here, who I think I'm not using TDN, PFF, has him way too low because he is a really good, solid tackle. He's just a big-bodied dude, but he's a great blocker as well, and I think he can fit in at that right spot very well and be really good. And so I think it's a pick that makes sense, and maybe there's some bigger needs, but, Isaiah Wilson's done, and I don't like Dennis Kelly, so. Then we have the Colts here at 54, and they took Sam Cosmi in the first round. And so here for the Colts, especially after getting Carson Wentz, quarterback isn't even a consideration pick here. For the Colts here, the pick definitely has to be like a cornerback or, like an edge player or a receiver, of course. Rondale Moore, Dwayne Eskridge, Tylan Wallace all make a lot of sense here. If you want to go defense here, I think Ronnie Perkins fits really nicely with them. Although again, he is more of a 3-4 outside linebacker guy. But I think Dwayne Eskridge with the Colts, I really, really like that fit. And so, Dwayne Eskridge is another guy that really exploded after the Senior Bowl. And then once you go and watch some tape on him, you just, you see some stuff that you like even more about him, but then you start to lower a bit on him. So I think he's a solid second-round pick right now. He's got that nice speed and play after the catch ability. I think he's really solid for the Colts. Then here at 55, we have the Steelers. And in the first round, the Steelers took Jalen Mayfield. And so here for the Steelers, they're probably going to want to, get some more help along that offensive line, which is really one of the only big needs I see left. Or they could take a quarterback. Although they have Dwayne Haskins right now, maybe they still want to take a bet on one of these guys. As well as Javonte Williams is still there. And he kind of comes off as a Steeler to me, But I do think the pick is going to be getting some help on that offensive line still, because it's just bad. And between all these guys, especially after Marquise Pouncey retired, getting a center would be great. And the best center in this class to me isn't Creed Humphrey, it's Landon Dickerson. Landon Dickerson is another guy that I feel would pretty easily be a first-round pick if not for injuries. But even then, I don't think his injuries are going to hold him back. This dude has shown that he's a true team leader and a solid blocker as well. Can play that center and guard position for them. So I think it's a really nice fit, and he fits, really nice. And it's a good pick here for the Steelers. And then with the Seahawks at the 56 pick, Seahawks with their first pick of the draft, I feel like they definitely have to go edge, just somewhere along the edge. And for me, I really like Onwuzurike. I think he should go in the second round, but it's looking like he might slip to the third. There's a lot to like about this guy, as well as J2 Thiel, but I do like the fits of Jordan Smith and Rashad Weaver a lot more. And although I think Rashad Weaver is a lot better, holds a lot more potential, he is just a big-bodied guy, and I think that holds even more potential for the Seahawks is Jordan Smith, a guy that I've mocked before, but it just makes a lot of sense. And I really like him. Another guy that dealt with some injuries and some off-the-field issues, which is why he had to transfer over to UAB, which is a smaller school, obviously. But he was still really, really solid for UAB. So I think he's worth a nice second-round pick. Can be a pretty good edge player in the NFL. Not going to be elite, but he is still pretty solid. Then the Rams at 57 with their first pick. The Rams here, they may want to address the interior offensive line. Gets Matthew Stafford, gets Matt Stafford some protection. There's a chance that Darius Williams does leave in free agency, so maybe they want to get another corner, and Eric Stokes is still here. If they want to go linebacker, there are some great linebackers on the board that are starting to slip, like Chaz Surratt and Jabril Cox. So, there are options here for the Rams. However, I do really like the fit of Jabril Cox with the Rams. They're another team that really doesn't have that actual linebacker. They have their outside guys, but their linebackers are Micah Kaiser, and I don't even know the other one. So they don't have anyone there. Jabril Cox would be the best linebacker on that team starting day one. So yeah, I think he'd be really solid, and I really like him from LSU. I think it's a great pick here for the Rams. 58, we have the Ravens, and I really, inside is still obviously a big need, and Creed Humphrey makes a ton of sense here. But it's a conflicting pick for me because I also would love the fit of Rondale Moore on the Ravens. I think he'd be great with them. It's exactly what they need. So it's a pretty tough pick for me here. But I think getting Lamar Jackson some weapons first before the line would be a better approach, because Lamar can extend plays so well and he's so mobile. Getting a center and stuff, I feel like can come later when you have such a great receiver on the board like Rondale Moore, who is, a smaller guy, but has that extreme, downfield speed. He's kind of like Rashad Bateman to me, just kind of smaller and not necessarily as good. But he is still a very solid receiver. And again, I think he's exactly what the Ravens need. So then the Browns here at 59, they took Nick Bolton in the first round. So here for the Browns, it's a pretty easy pick, and I don't even have to look a second time. Levi Onwuzurike makes so much sense here. First off, I think he's an amazing fit with the Browns. I think he fits perfectly with them. Second off, especially after the injury to Their Olivier Vernon, they could use another guy along that defensive line. I don't think Claiborne is that. Putting a guy like Onwuzurike with Myles Garrett and potentially J.J. Watt is just a frightening experience with Nick Bolton and their solid corners when they're healthy with good depth and players at safety. That defense is going to be really scary, and I think getting a guy like Onwuzurike would be great for them. Then we have the Saints here at 60 who took was it Rashad Bateman? Yes, Rashad Bateman in the first round. So here for the Saints, they're probably going to want to go corner, like safety. And I think safety does definitely have to be the pick. And in my opinion, the third best safety in this class is Jevon Holland, a guy that holds just a tremendous amount of potential. If he would have played this year, another guy that I think would be a first rounder. I know Saints fans really want a safety there, especially since Marcus Williams will be leaving, and they're already going to have a ton of cap casualties. So getting a guy like Jevon Holland would be, great for the Saints, and he's their safety of the future there. Bills at 61. For the Bills here, they took a bet on Gregory Rousseau in the first round. So now here, you're probably going to want to get some like offensive line depth. And a guy that I think would be really nice and is a great guy to take some time to develop. I can't talk right now. A guy that would take some time to develop but could be an amazing tackle in the NFL is Jackson Carman, who I think could replace Darius Williams as soon as next year, if needed be, because Darius Williams is a free agent. But even if he's depth, he is still great depth. It's just insurance because, again, they're such a well-built team. I do see the pick for linebacker here, obviously, since Matt Milano is leaving. However, I don't know if I really not like any of these guys with the Bills, and Jackson Carman would be a great luxury pick for them once again. Then we have the Packers here at 62, who took Asante Samuel in the first round. Now I feel like you should get some receiving threats, and a guy like Tylan Wallace on the Packers would be great. I think, again, he's just such a perfect fit for them, exactly what they need. The Yang to Devontae Adams Yang, I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's a good pick here. Chiefs here at 63. For the Chiefs here, I think a pick that makes a lot of sense here, and that I actually really like, is Dazz Newsome. And I'm starting to rise on him a bit more, and I'm probably higher on him than most people. I know a lot of people like Jalen Darden, which I just saw here. Now I can't find him, but I do still prefer Dazz Newsome over him. I think Dazz Newsome truly has that Tyreek Hill potential. 2 Tyreek Hills on the same speed, on the same team, along with like Demarcus Robinson and Coleman, Mikel Coleman, something like that, would just be, again, terrifying. It's getting this team even better. They took the tackle in the first round for insurance. Getting a guy like Newsome on this team would be great for them. And then here at 64, we have the Buccaneers. And after taking Najee Harris in the first round, it's a really easy pick for me. I mean, if you're going to go somewhere along the defensive line, Rashad Weaver is amazing, especially for the Buccaneers here. I think he fits great. He is that big-bodied, big-presence guy, but that's exactly what would work great for the Buccaneers there. And he's a guy that's not going to take time to develop. You know what you're getting. He's a solid, safe pick, and I really like it here. Then moving on to the third round, we're going to go a bit faster as per usual and, just not explain as much stuff. But Jaguars here, so far, the Jaguars have taken Richie Grant, Elijah Vera-Tucker, Trevor Lawrence, and Christian Barmore. So, at this point, for the Jaguars, the best pick here is probably going to be a tight end, because they did just they're basically releasing Tyler Eifert. And a guy that I really love is Brevin Jordan, another guy that is a great blocker, great receiver as well. I like the fit, and yeah, they need a tight end. Jets here at 66. The Jets so far have taken, we're going to start going back on here a bit more, Travis Etienne, Zach Wilson, and JOK. So here for the Jets, we're going to get a really solid corner in Eric Stokes, who somehow fell all the way here. But they could use a guy like Eric Stokes, and really a guy that, again, if he booms, he's going to be amazing for that defense. If he doesn't, sadly, it's obviously a missed pick, but I do really think he's going to hit that potential with a team like the Jets, rather than like the Jaguars per se, because they are a much better built team in all reality. So yeah, I think it's a pick worth taking, and yeah. Then we have the Texans here, and in this trade or in this situation, of course, they probably have more picks once they trade Deshaun Watson. In this case, this is their first pick, and it's just going to be about protecting Deshaun Watson. And you definitely have to take a guy on the inside here. And the best inside player at this point, I mean, is really Deontay Brown. But they could, I mean, who's their, I don't know who their center is. So Creed Humphrey makes sense here. But Deontay Brown is another guy that, like, you know, if not for some injuries and stuff, and he didn't have a good Senior Bowl at all, would be much higher, but he's a solid guard to pick up here in the third round. So it's still good value for the Texans, and they get some protection for Deshaun Watson, which in this situation, he's still there. Then we have the Falcons here at 68. And with the Falcons, they've gone Justin Fields and Tyson Campbell so far. So here for the Falcons, why not get some pass rush? You know, and you have some really good guys here like J2 Feel. You know, if you want to go somewhere along the, like here, I don't really know if any of these guys fit too well. That's worth taking at this spot. Again, I think these guys are more like 3-4 guys, except for Patrick Jones, but I don't know if I like him that much on the Falcons. So the pick here, you know, I know they have what's his name? The defensive tackle. I'm forgetting his name right now, but they have a really Grady Jarrett. They have a really solid tackle there right now. But you know, of course they play 4-3, so they can use 2 tackles. But even if he doesn't play tackle, J2 Feel, you know, he is a really solid guy. He is more of the big-bodied power rusher and not much more than that. But I think, you know, he'd still be really nice for the Falcons, and he's probably the best edge rusher at this point in the draft. So I really like him here. Then the Bengals at 69. So far, they've taken Jamar Chase and Dylan Redunds. So, you know, heck, why not upgrade that offensive line even more with a guy like Trey Smith? Because, again, I like Creed Humphrey and Josh Myers, but, you know, well, not Josh Myers as much. People know I don't really like him, but these guys are more centers. Quinn Miners is great, but I do think maybe the top of the third round is a bit too high for him. A guy like Trey Smith, I think, fits really, really nicely with the Bengals. I'm just messing up everything today. Anyways, Trey Smith would be great with the Bengals, though. He's been really solid for Tennessee. Not much more than that. They need offensive line. He's a solid offensive lineman. Done. Eagles at 70. So far, they've gone with Dylan Moses and Kyle Pitts. And so here, for the Eagles, we're probably going to want to go along that defensive side of things again. Although they do need some offensive line help. I'd still rather go like, you know, someone like Elijah Molden here, Kelvin Joseph, or a safety. And although I like Hampson and Sirdeline and a lot of these other safeties, I think with the Eagles, Kelvin Joseph would be a great fit. A guy that's really come out of nowhere recently, but if you look at his tape, I mean, he's a really solid dude, especially in the man game and stuff. He's a really good corner. You know, and Kentucky's team as a whole doesn't get a lot of attention. Their defense was better than their offense, though, and Kelvin Joseph was part of that. So I think with the Eagles, he'd fit really nicely. Broncos here at 71. Broncos so far have gone with Micah Parsons and Liam Eichenberg. So here for the Broncos, you know, maybe you want to get edge. You know, a guy like, say, Ronnie Perkins, Joe Tryon, Shaka Toney fit really nicely with this team. If they want to go for that corner now, Elijah Molden, even though he's mainly a slot guy, is definitely a pick here. Or heck, Trey Brown. I don't know why they have him so low, but Trey Brown would fit really nicely with the Broncos. You know, safety as well as a pick. Secretly, the Broncos kind of need a running back. Since Phillip Lindsay may be let go and Melvin Gordon may face suspension. So getting a guy like Javonte Williams is definitely in consideration here. But at the end of the day, I do really like the fit of Trey Brown with the Broncos, which, again, I don't know why he's so low. He's probably going to go more in the second, third round, obviously, like he does here. But, yeah, he's been really solid for Oklahoma. Another guy that really got more attention, like, after the Senior Bowl. So, yeah, he's a really solid corner. I think he'd be nice for the Broncos. Lions at 72, they've taken Jalen Waddle and Baron Browning. And so here for the Lions, we're going to get them some pass rush. And out of all the pass rushes available, I think the one that I like the most to the Lions, even though I think there's much better pass rushers on the board, I think Victor Dimukeje is probably the best fit here for the Lions. He's a guy that I really didn't watch tape on for a long, long time, and then which I did. He's a solid pass rusher. He doesn't excel at anything. He doesn't use power excessively well or speed excessively well, but he is a solid all-around pass rusher, and I think he fits the best with the Lions here at this point, so that is the pick. Then here at 73 for the Panthers, so far the Panthers have taken Trey Lance and Greg Newsome. And so here, why not get the Panthers their linebacker of the future in Chaz Surratt, who is another guy that I think should go a lot higher, but this is probably where he'll go around in real life. I really like Chaz Surratt. Not only was he really solid for North Carolina in the short time he played linebacker, but for as being as raw he is at the position, he showed some really, really good stuff at times. Yes, obviously he's not all there at the position yet because he's raw. I mean, he was switched from a quarterback to a linebacker, but I also really like that when people have played multiple positions. So, yeah, I really like Chaz Surratt here to the Panthers. Washington here. Washington so far has gone with Afichi Melifonwu and Kadarius Toney. So here is definitely where you're going to take one of those quarterbacks. And, between Davis Mills, I'm still a guy that I think should be more 4th, 5th round on. I think he's more like your Tom Brady. You might take him late, see if maybe he'll be like that. But, of course, comparing anyone to Tom Brady is kind of foolish. Between Kellen Mond and Kyle Trask, I definitely prefer Kyle Trask over Mond, and I think he fits a lot better with Washington as well. Kyle Trask was in running for the Heisman Trophy, so for him to be in here in the 3rd round is crazy enough, but I don't get all the hate for him. I understand he has some, issues. His footwork still isn't the best. His mechanics aren't the best, but he definitely improved on him, and he showed some great things. He had some great weapons to work with, obviously, but, a lot of quarterbacks do in college, so it's like, I think it's a good pick here, though. I'd prefer him over Mond, definitely so. Cowboys here at 75. So far, they've taken Caleb Farley and Trevon Merrig. I have to get used to saying that. So here for the Cowboys, maybe you want to get some offensive line help in case someone gets hurt again. And I really like Walker Little here with the Cowboys, as well as tight end. Hunter Long would be a great fit with the Cowboys. I'd really like that. Or if you want to go edge, a guy like Patrick Jones I think would fit nice. But I do really like the fit of Hunter Long. After you're addressing the secondary, there's not a lot of 4-3 guys on the board right now. And so Hunter Long I think is a great tight end. Another really underrated guy, and again, like the other ones, great blocker, great catcher, athletic, just all-around solid tight end. And then with the Giants here at 76, in the 2nd round, they took Jason Owe, and then in the 1st round, Devontae Smith. So here for the Giants, you're probably going to want to get a linebacker or a cornerback or somewhere along there. Pete Werner, I think, would fit fantastically with the Giants. If you want to look at cornerback, a guy that you've probably been wondering why he's falling so far, Aaron Robinson. I do not get the hype for Robinson at all. He moves way too slow. As a corner, he's not going to survive in the NFL. He's just not. So, maybe Elijah Molden would be a great pick here. I think it's way too high for DJ Daniel. He's more of a 5th round guy to me. Robert Rochelle, I know a lot of people are high on, but I think he's more of a 4th rounder. Keith Taylor, maybe. Benjamin St. Juste is a guy that people have kind of been paying more attention to, but I don't know. I'm still kind of 4th round on him. Adebo as well has fallen to the 4th round for me. Kerry Vincent is a pick here in consideration. So, corner is definitely a spot they can go here. I really like the fit of Pete Werner. Blake Martinez is maybe one of the most overhyped players in all of football. He's not that good. The only reason he racks up tackles is because he can't make plays in the passing game. And he's like the cleanup guy for if someone breaks a run. So, yeah, I think Pete Werner would be a lot better day one, and I like the fit there. Chargers at 77, they've taken Ben Cleveland and Christian Darrisaw. And, why not keep building out that offensive line, especially since Creed Humphrey's fallen to you at this point. Now they've filled out that left tackle, one of the guards, and the center position. And that's maybe they signed a guy in free agency, so that might be their entire offensive line filled out. But Creed Humphrey, though, is a really solid center. Last year to 77, this is the pick I think he should go about. I don't think he's a 1st rounder at all, maybe a 2nd rounder, but still great value for the Chargers here, and they get a great guy. He was also a very solid blocker as well, besides just being, a good center, obviously. Vikings at 78. Vikings did not have a second round pick, but in the first round they took Kwity Paye. So for the Vikings here, maybe you just want to continue to upgrade that defense since it was just so bad. If you want to get a good cornerback here, Elijah Molden would be a great corner for them. But if you want to get a replacement safety, Hamsah Nasir would be great on a Mike Zimmer defense. So looking at the picks they can go, inside offensive line is obviously also a need, and I like David Moore. That'd probably be the only guy besides Josh Myers I'd take at this point, or Quinn Miners as well. This guy's a big reason why I'm using TFF and not TDN, because TDN just refuses to add minors for some reason. But I do like the fit of Elijah Molden with the Vikings a lot. They have another pick coming up soon where they can get one of those inside guys. So I like Elijah Molden a lot with the Vikings. He's been a really solid, again, a guy that mainly is just amazing in the slot and not much else, but he's a great slot corner. Then the Cardinals at 79. So far they've taken J.C. Horn and Quincy Roche. And so here for the Cardinals, I think now is your spot. You want to pick up a running back. Or maybe a wide receiver too, because I do like some of these guys. Elijah Moore is a guy that, a lot of people I think are way too high on. I get some of the hype behind him, but I don't see it in him. I don't see exactly what people are really liking him that much for. So if you're going to go running back here, although I do like Javonte Williams more, I always give Michael Carter to the Cardinals first because I think he fits a lot better with them. He fits that kind of Kenyon Drake mold that works so well for them. And especially with Kyler Murray, I think it's a much better fit over Javonte Williams. And Javonte Williams isn't that great of a catching running back. Then we've got the Raiders at 80, and so far they've gone with Jalen Phillips and earlier Alex Leatherwood. So here for the Raiders, if you want to get some defensive, some more defensive help, Patrick Jones is another great guy. Although I do like Max Crosby, so they don't really need that defensive end. They need more the tackle, and so Davion Nixon, Tommy Tagai, Alim McNeil. I like all those guys here. If you want to look quarterback or safety, I don't really know if I want to take any of these other guys. Hamsah, I don't know if he fits that well. I think if any safety fits the best at this point, it's going to be Richard LeCounte, which where is Richard LeCounte? Not here. Did he return for another year? I don't think so. Am I blind? Yeah, I don't see him. Unless they maybe have him as a corner or something. But, regardless, I do think the best fit, though, for here is going to be this tackle. And I really like Davion Nixon, and I think he fits pretty nicely with the Raiders here. They kind of need more of that big-bodied guy back there, but there's not really someone like that to take at this point. Because the biggest body guy available is probably Marvin Wilson. I'm definitely not taking him here though. Osa Odigizua is also definitely in consideration here, but I think I like Davion Nixon a lot more than Osa, and so I take him here. Dolphins, who have so far taken, and we got to scroll all the way back, Carlos Basham, Terrace Marshall, Zaven Collins, and Penei Sewell. So here for the Dolphins, best pick here, you're probably looking safety. Or running back. Actually, this is that spot where they're going to take Javonte Williams. Makes a lot of sense. I think he's a really nice fit with the Dolphins. Instantly, he comes in as the best running back on that roster. Extremely good power runner. Great fit with the Dolphins. I like the pick. Washington, who have so far gone Kyle Trask, Ifeadi Melifonwu, and Kadarius Toney. So here for Washington, you're probably going to want to go Washington, they could use a nice linebacker, and Charles Snowden, Cameron McGrone are still on the board. Let me see if they just have anyone low for some reason. No, so that looks like that. But I do really like the fit of Charles Snowden with Washington a lot. Either that or safety, but I don't know if I really like any of these guys. Maybe Andre Cisco, but it maybe. But I do like the fit of Charles Snowden a lot better here. A guy that I think, again, is underrated by most people. He's really solid. He loves to get on the run game. Very physical and athletic for his size as well. I really like him, so I think he's a solid pick here. Bears have so far drafted Amon-Ra St. Brown and Rashawn Slater. So here for the Bears, they passed up on Kellen Mond in the second round, so why not take him here? Kellen Mond, a guy that really, really rose his stock a lot at the Senior Bowl, and I think he's worth like a second or third round pick now. I think he holds a lot of promise. Will he ever be an elite quarterback in the NFL? I don't believe so, but I think he can be a solid, serviceable guy, and that's really all the Bears need, which Mitch Trubisky hasn't been. So I think it's a good pick here and a pick worth taking. Eagles at 84. Eagles so far have taken Kelvin Joseph. Kelvin Joseph and where are they? Dylan Moses and Kyle Pitts. So Kyle Pitts, Dylan Moses, and guys, I'm sorry, I must be tired right now. And Kelvin Joseph. So, anyways, excuse me. Best pick here for the Eagles at this point. Maybe you want to upgrade that offensive line. Walker Little looks really solid. Maybe you want to go running back here. Receiver is a bigger need now for them because they're cutting Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. Although I really like Hamza Nasir-Deline on a Eagles defense. I think that's a great fit for him. You're going to take him? Yeah, there you go. I think he's a really nice fit on the Eagles. So, simple as that. He's a really solid safety. He's pretty versatile as well. He can play free safety and strong safety, I think. So, Titans at 85. Titans so far have taken Spencer Brown as well as Azeez Ojulari. So, here for the Titans, they kind of need some help at corner, honestly, and not a lot of people really talk about it. And in that case, there's some guys that you can go with here. Keith Taylor, Rodarius Williams, Paulson Adebo, Benjamin St. Juste, Terry Vincent, Shakur Brown. They're really low on a lot of these guys for some reason. But the best corner at this point for me is going to be Rodarius Williams. Another Oklahoma corner. He's not like Trey Brown, Oklahoma, different Oklahomas. Different schools. He was very solid for Oklahoma State this year, though. I think he should probably get some more attention than he does. He is going to be more of like that man slot guy, but he can still fit pretty nicely. More of a developmental project, but they do kind of need some help at corner, so I think he fits nicely. Jets at 86. Jets here have so far they've gone Eric Stokes. And then earlier, Travis Etienne, JOK, and Zach Wilson. So, at this point for the Jets, you're probably... For the Jets here, maybe you want to get some receiving threats and like Amari Rodgers, maybe Demetric Felton, Elijah Moore, Diami Brown. Do they have any guys here that's like unnecessarily low? Not really. Between that, maybe you want to get an edge rusher. Patrick Jones. Maybe this is about the pick you should go. Oda Yingbo. There are definitely some picks here they can go. But, I think out of all these picks, I think I do like Patrick Jones the most out of here. He's kind of like that last true 4-3 guy here for anyone to take. And so I think he fits good with the Jets. I think he's much more of a developmental project. I think he's a good fit there for them. Then we have the Steelers at 87, who so far, I believe, have just gone offensive line with Landon Dickerson and Jalen Mayfield. So here for the Steelers, they could use, like, a guy like Trey Sermon or Ramondre Stevenson, I think would be great fits with the Steelers because, they could be their power backs that they don't really have, because they have James Conner, who I don't think really is that good. So after upgrading the offensive line, why not get a great running back here? And between the two, although I like Trey Sermon a lot more, I think he holds a lot more upside. I think Ramondre Stevens comes off way more as a Steeler to me. And he was really solid for Oklahoma, really good power back, but also as effective in the passing game as well. So I think it's a pretty nice pick there. Lions at 88. Lions so far have taken Victor Dimukeje, Jalen Waddle, and Baron Browning. And so here for the Lions, maybe you want to go receiver again with some of these guys available. Maybe you want to address the inside right now because it's definitely not the best. Or if you want to get some more like pass rush, you can. But the pick here for me is going to be getting some inside help. And I really like David Moore. I think, he's another guy that kind of rose in that Senior Bowl. Coming from a small school, he did not get a lot of attention. And I definitely like him over a guy like, Aaron Banks, Robert Hainsey. Although Robert Hainsey's good too, I think I still prefer David Moore a bit. So I do like the pick here for the Browns here at 89. Browns so far have gone with Levi Onwuzurike and Nick Bolton. So here for the Browns, we're probably going to want to maybe get a receiver since they don't really have they have Jarvis Landry, obviously. I think they should trade Odell. And then Peoples-Jones might develop, but he hasn't been great for them. If they don't pick up J.J. Watt, there is still some pretty nice guys to get here. Maybe like Oda Yingbo, who can play that 4-3. If they want to go cornerback, there's some good cornerbacks on the board. But at this point, I think the best pick for the Browns, and especially since they have another one coming up, for them is going to be getting a receiver and a cornerback. And I am going to take the cornerback first because the Vikings could probably take a cornerback here. And the guy that I like the most here for the Browns is going to be Kerry Vincent. He's been a really solid corner for LSU. I like him a lot more than some people. I think he gets overshadowed by the other corner there that I can't remember, but like really, really good corner. He gets overshadowed by him though. Can't remember his name right now. But yeah, he's still been a very solid guy, and I think it's a good pick here. Vikings here, so far they've taken Kwity Paye and Elijah Molden. So the Vikings, I said they might take a corner, but here I think they should address the inside and get some help here. And a guy that I really like and I think can play center and guard is Quinn Miners. And yes, I'm taking him over Josh Myers and Robert Hainsey. I think he's really solid. Another small school guy, kind of like David Moore, that showed out at the Senior Bowl. And although I took David Moore over him, I think Quinn Miners holds a lot more potential. And yeah, I think it's a good pick here for him. We're going to kind of go through these last few picks pretty quickly. Browns, we're going to get them that receiver we were talking about. And best receiver is definitely Elijah Moore at this point. He also fits pretty nicely with the Browns as well. Packers here, they've gone with Tylan Wallace and Asante Samuel. So here, Rick Wagner is, I think he got cut. Yeah, Rick Wagner got cut, and so their backup right now is like Billy Turner. Why not get a really solid tackle on the board in Walker Little, who's kind of fallen a bit. Like another guy that with some development can be a really solid tackle in the NFL. Bills, they have so far taken Jackson Carman and Gregory Rousseau. So here, let's get them that linebacker and a guy that I really like in Cameron McGrone. I think he fits really nicely with the Bills. That replacement for Matt Milano and can be even better than him. So Chiefs at 94. Chiefs have so far taken Daz Newsome and Tevin Jenkins. Here, I think we're going to get them kind of that edge rusher to maybe go across from, Frank Clark and Chris Jones. And a guy that I really like on the Chiefs would be Tommy Tagai. I think he fits really nicely with them. Really shouldn't fall any lower than this. He was really solid for Ohio State, and so I really like him. I think he'll be pretty good with them. Buccaneers have so far gone with Rashad Weaver and Najee Harris. And so here for the Bucs, I think at this point, maybe we should get him a tackle, because they don't really have anyone at the future for that left tackle position because Donovan Smith's starting to get pretty old. So it really comes down to me between James Hudson and Brady Christensen. I know a lot of people really like James Hudson, but I like Brady Christensen a lot more. He was really, really, really solid for BYU this year. Big reason why Zach Wilson was even near as good as he was. So I think he's a really solid tackle worth taking here. Patriots so far have gone Mac Jones and then earlier Pat Freiermuth. And so here, let's get him a receiver since they could really use it. And out of all these guys, the one I like most with the Patriots here, it definitely comes down to Amari Rodgers or Diami Brown. but I like Dyami Brown a lot more than Rodgers, as shown by the fact that he's falling this far according to their board. But yeah, I think Dyami Brown on the Patriots would be really good, and I think with Mac Jones he'd fit really nicely. Chargers at 97, they've gone so far with Christian Darrisaw and Ben Cleveland, and then earlier picked Creed Humphrey. So if they really want, they can fill out their offensive line here and go with Robert Hainsey, or even Josh Myers or Trey Hill. If they really want to, they can fill it out. Maybe they want to get a guy to go across from Joey Bosa if they don't really like Nwosu that much. A guy that I think fit really nice there is maybe Chauncey Golston. And I really like some of these other guys. I just don't think they... Well, actually, because no, the Chargers need a 3-4 outside linebacker to go across from Kenneth Murray. So in that case, Ronnie Perkins, why not get the Oklahoma Bros back together? Because Kenneth Murray's from Oklahoma as well. So I think they'd be a really nice pairing together. This is where I think Ronnie Perkins should go about. So this pick makes sense to me. Saints here at 98. Saints so far have taken... didn't they have a pick earlier in the third round? No, I guess not. Saints so far have taken Javon Holland and Rashad Bateman. Whoops. Javon Holland, Rashad Bateman. So here for the Saints, we are going to get the Saints maybe a tight end of the future in Trey McKitty, although it is kind of high for him. Or maybe they want to address the linebacker position, since they're not going to have Quan Alexander there next year, and who knows what Zach Bond will do. Obviously, they have Demario Davis. And I think that is going to be the pick here, because I like Monty Rice on the Saints. I think it's a pick that makes sense, and I think he mends really nicely with them. Cowboys at 99. Cowboys have so far taken Hunter Long, Trevon Merrig, and Caleb Farley. And so, at this point for the Cowboys, I think we're going to address that defensive, pressure position. And Alim McNeil, I'm not going to have him fall out of the third round. He's a solid tackle that's been really, really good, and I think he fits nicely with the Cowboys. Titans so far have gone with Rodarius Williams, Spencer Brown, and Azeez Ojulari. And the Titans here, we're going to get him another edge player, and a guy that, I really like. He's really raw, but a guy that I really, really like is, why can't I find him? Shaka Toney. He's like super, super raw, and I get that. I get why some people don't like him. I think he should go higher than this, but this is probably where he's going to go. But Shaka Toney has so much freaking potential, man, and he's so athletic and speedy. I really like him. I think he'll be pretty solid. Rams here, they have 2 picks coming up, and the Rams, I think they only had 1 pick so far, and that pick was Jabril Cox. So here for the Rams, if they want to get a tackle for the future, since Whitworth won't be there forever, you can definitely go with James Hudson here. He makes sense. If they want to address the inside, Josh Myers and Trey Hill right there. If they want to get an edge player, potentially, although they don't really need it, get some depth back there, it makes sense with some guys here. But pick for right now is definitely going to be James Hudson. I think he can be that really solid tackle of the future for them. Develop him for a little bit under Whitworth. He could be a great tackle in the NFL. A guy that I'm not as high on as others, but 49ers here. 49ers have so far gone with in the first round they took Patrick Surtain and then Wyatt Davis. So here for the 49ers, we're going to get them their potential quarterback of the future. I know they have Josh Rosen, and I don't really think he's going to be anything. Their potential quarterback of the future in Davis Mills. I know I said he should probably go a lot higher, but I think in a Shanahan offense, Davis Mills would be really good. You give him a lot of weapons and a good offensive line and a defense to back him up. Davis Mills, who knows what this kid could be. Rams, with their other pick, they are going to take that for the other part of their offensive line, and they're going to help out by getting a guy like Robert Hainsey, who's another guy that can play like that guard or a tackle position. Obviously would be a guard there, but if one of their guys goes down, or both their guys go down, you got Robert Hainsey there. So, and even if he's depth, he's good depth. Ravens have so far gone with earlier did not have a pick. So second round they took I cannot find them. Where are the Ravens at? Or do they trade their second round pick? Well, in this case they've taken Joseph Asai, and it's looking like that's it. Have they not had any other picks so far? Oh, I guess not. So they took Joseph Asai earlier. They could use some help at that, center position, and getting a guy like Josh Myers here in the late third is great value for them and a really good pick. So I've said he has some snapping issues. I still believe that. He's been part of the reason why Justin Fields has some issues, but can still be a solid snapper. He'll probably be better than what they had at least, and so he'll be pretty good. And then with our last pick, we have the Saints, and we know what the Saints took earlier. They got a receiver, they got a linebacker, they got a corner, they got a safety. They don't have many other holes other than that. So we're going to get him a potential quarterback of the future again in Jamie Newman here to fill out our draft. And so, yeah, that was the second and third rounds to my 2021 NFL mock draft. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, share, subscribe. New videos coming out all the time. Let me know what you guys want to see next. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see all you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.